And Chair, you are now live.
Great, thanks, Annie. Alrighty, so since we have quorum, we'll call this meeting to order. So this meeting comes to order at 5:06 p.m. And so first, I'm just going to do our land acknowledgement. So the Halifax Region Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick roll call before we get started. So Stacy Smith, I think she's on the call there. Okay, Abraham.
Here.
Hi. Carter.
Here.
Great. Jane. Okay, no Jane. Truly. Okay. Crystal. Zoya.
I'm here.
Great. And Solomon. Alrighty, and we've received regrets already from James and Sarah, so so they won't be joining us tonight. Okay, so I'm now going to pass it over back to Annie, and we'll do the election of chair.
Alrighty, hello everybody. Annie here, your legislative assistant. I apologize, my camera is probably going to freeze on me, and then I'll have just like an awkward face for the rest of the time. But if that happens, I'll turn my camera off. So we're gonna proceed with the election of the chair. There we go, freezing already, awesome. So we're gonna proceed with the election of the chair. So if there is more than one individual who would like to put their name forward, we will be conducting the vote electronically. So I will be sending out a link to each of you by email so that people can vote through their email inbox. And if there's only one person that puts their name forward per item, then we'll just kind of ratify it here in person. But basically, what I'll be looking for here is just for folks to signify whether or not they would like to put their name forward for the position of chair. And then I'll need a mover and seconder for that. And then we'll kind of go through that process. So I'll start us off by opening the floor for nominations for the position of chair. Would anyone like to put their name forward?
I will put my name forward for chair.
Wonderful, thank you. So can I get a mover to have Ellen Smith nominated for the position of chair?
I can move towards that.
Thank you, Carter. And can I get a seconder?
I can second.
And was that Zoya?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you, Zoya. So that's been moved by Carter, seconded by Zoya. And Ellen, do you accept the nomination for position of chair?
Yes, I accept the nomination.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so I'll call for any further nominations for the position of chair. I'll call the second time for any further nominations for the position of chair. And the third and final time for the nominations for the position of chair. Alrighty, well then hearing none, I will call for a motion for nominations to cease. Would anyone like to move that motion?
I can move that motion.
Thank you, Ellen. So Ellen has moved for nominations to cease. And can I get a seconder on that motion?
I can second.
Thank you, Carter. Wonderful. So that has been moved and seconded that nominations will now cease. All in favor of nominations ceasing, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Wonderful. Any opposed? Alrighty, hearing none, I will now call the question for the position of chair. Because we only have one nomination, it will be to appoint Ellen Smith as the chair of the Youth Advisory Committee. Can I get a mover on that motion?
I move.
Thank you, Carter. And can I get a seconder?
I second.
Thank you, Abraham. Wonderful. So that has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments on the matter before we take it to a vote? Awesome. Okay, hearing none, we'll take it to the vote. So all those in favor of appointing Ellen Smith as chair. Say aye.
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 Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Anybody opposed? Awesome. Hearing none. Ellen Smith, you have been declared the chair of the Youth Advisory Committee for a second time. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. So now, Ellen, if you would like to, you are welcome to move forward with the election of vice chair, or I can take the lead on that one again if you would like.
Sure, if you don't mind taking the lead on that one again. Probably
Wonderful.
go quicker.
No. Yeah, for sure. Ellen, do you have any comments or anything that you'd like to make before we head into the vice chair nomination?
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind. Yeah, I'm really excited to be chairing again. I know last committee, a lot of people left or for different reasons, and we didn't really have the committee to do the things to bring this committee to its full potential. So I think at the beginning, none of us knew its full potential. And now that I've learned of what we can do, I'm hoping that we'll be able to actually do those things. So, have a town hall meeting and have more presentations like we do tonight with public safety, but lots of other things that we can do and actually make a report or I looked at the work plan because sorry, I wasn't there last meeting. But those are some things that I feel really passionately about as well. So I'm glad we're all on the same page and that we can really just take those things and run with them and actually put forward some things that will hopefully make a difference. So that's my little spiel. I'm really excited to have a new group and new faces and new ideas and stuff forward. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to what we're going to do. And so for vice chair, I'm happy to almost mentor someone. So if I at any point have to leave, because I'm not sure what my plans are, that they would be able to step in, but they would be well prepared to step in. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you want to put your name forward for vice chair, is that we can work together to put you ready for chair if that's something you're interested in. So yeah, that's my little spiel. Thanks, Annie.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair. All right. So on that note, we will move into the election for the position of Vice Chair. So I will open the floor for nominations for the position of Vice Chair. You can nominate yourself or you can nominate someone else here, but we do need to have somebody fill the position of Vice Chair from the members who are currently here today.
I would nominate Zoya for vice chair.
All righty. So that has been moved by Carter for Zoya to be put forward for the position of Vice Chair. And can I get a seconder on that?
I will second that.
Alrighty, so that's been moved by Carter, seconded by Ellen. And Zoya, do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. So Zoya, their nomination is on the floor. Can I have, I'll call for any further nominations. So this is just standard that we call 3 further times for anyone else if they would like to put their name forward. I'll call one more time for any further nominations for the position of Vice Chair. And the third and final time, any further nominations. All righty, hearing none, I will call for a motion to close nominations. Can I get a mover?
I move.
Thank you, Carter. And can I get a seconder?
I second.
Alrighty, thank you, Abraham. Alrighty, so it's been moved and seconded to close nominations for Vice Chair. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Alrighty, hearing none, nominations are closed. So we have one name put forward for the position of Vice Chair, Zoya Hussein. So I will call for the question on appointing Zoya as the Vice Chair of the Youth Advisory Committee. Can I get a mover?
I
I'll
move.
move. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, was that Carter or Ellen that went first?
I think it was me first, Carter.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Carter. And Ellen, would you like to second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Awesome. Okay, great. So that's been moved and seconded. So now I'll call, or actually, is there any comments or questions before we go to the vote? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the question on appointing Zoya as Vice Chair of the Youth Advisory Committee. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed, say nay. Alrighty, hearing none, congratulations. We have a brand new Vice Chair, Zoya. Thanks so much for taking this position on. Awesome, great. And Madam Chair, I'll pass it over to you for the duration of the committee.
Great. Thanks so much, Annie. Alrighty. So now we're just going to do a quick check-in. Just how everyone's doing, what you've been up to the past month, I guess it's been. Would anyone, and maybe we can also just do an introduction for the guests who are here as well, just so they have a bit of understanding who we are, maybe our age or pronouns, and then maybe what we've been up to. Would anyone like to go first, or should I start off? Okay, I'll start. So my name's Ellen. I just turned 22. I use she, her pronouns, and I guess the only news I have was last week was my birthday, and so I had a good birthday. Yeah. Zoya, would you like to go next?
Sure. Happy birthday. I guess what have I been up to this past month? I just got done with my exams, so I'm free now, which feels amazing. And I also took the longest nap of my life yesterday. So all in all, I think it's been great so far. And thank you so much for the nomination for co-chair. Oh, should I call on someone to go next?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Sure. Carter, you can go ahead.
Okay, I'm Carter. I'm 20. I use he, him pronouns. School's over, so I've been working a lot. Abraham, if you want to go next.
Hi. Happy late birthday, Ellen. My name is Abraham. I'm 17. I go to Halifax West High School. And during the past month, I've just been focusing on school and trying to go outside as much as I can because the weather is getting nicer.
I agree, Abraham. I'm trying to go outside a lot too. It's so nice now. Great. Okay. So we're just going to go through and do some approval of minutes next. So I'll call for a motion to approve the minutes of the May 20th, 2021 meeting, the July 19th, 2021 meeting, and April 20th, 2022 meeting. So this requires a mover and seconder. So can I get someone to move the motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Great. Thanks, Carter. And can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
Great. Thank you, Zoya. And do we have any questions or discussions or anything on the minutes before we vote? No? Great. Okay, so all those in favor say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All those opposed? Great. Okay, so the motion has carried. Alrighty, so next we have approval of the order of business and approval of additions and delegations. So do we have any requests for additions, delegations, or changes to the order of business for tonight? Or we find the way it is? Okay, so if there isn't any changes, then we're going to call for a motion to approve the order of business. So can I get a mover?
I'll move.
Great, thank you, Carter. Can I get a seconder?
I can second.
Great, thank you, Abraham. Okay, and then any questions or comments before we vote on this? Great. Okay, so all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? Okay, great. So that motion has passed. Okay, so now I'm going to call for a declaration of conflict of interest. So does anyone have a conflict of interest tonight? And if they do, what would happen if you would just mute yourself for the meeting when the item is being discussed that you have a conflict with, and you would not be able to engage in the discussion at that time. But does anyone have a conflict of interest for tonight's agenda? No. Great. Okay. So correspondence, petitions, and delegations. So Annie, do we have any correspondence or petitions?
Thank you, Chair. The clerk's office did not receive any correspondence or petitions for this meeting.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so now that we've quickly gone through those things, next on the list is staff. So we have community mobilization teams and public safety strategy presentation. So I'm going to ask Amy and Raven to provide their presentation now. So I'll pass it over to you two. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I'm just going to take a quick second here to pull up the presentation. We did a run through with Annie earlier on to make this go smoothly, but I feel like with technology, it never goes fully smoothly, no matter how much you prepare. So let's just hope that this works. It's just taking a little bit to load. My computer's being very slow.
Always the way.
Maybe we can start off. One of our first slides is Raven and I introducing ourselves. So maybe Raven, we can start off with that, and that'll get us into the presentation. So yeah, thank you so much for having us here today. And I guess I can start, Raven. Or my name is Amy Brierly, and I work with the public safety office with Raven, and my role is program coordinator for the Safe City and Safe Public Spaces program, which we will be sharing a little bit more about later on in our presentation today. And my pronouns are she, her. You can go ahead, Raven.
Awesome. And I'm Raven Glasgow, and I too work with the Public Safety Office. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator there, and I work with the Community Mobilization team and the Community Gardens. But as Amy said, it's all part of our presentation, so we'll definitely tell you a little bit more about them. And I go by the pronoun she, her as well. And I see our presentation is up there, so.
Okay, perfect. You see it? All right. So, okay. Oh my gosh, I knew this was gonna happen. I feel like I'm pretty familiar with Zoom too, Annie, gosh. Okay, so let me. It's not letting me go to the next slide.
No worries here. I'll just share it for you, Amy. No worries.
So much for the back to say.
We're very excited to be here with you guys, and we're looking forward to sharing our presentation and looking forward to any questions that you have for us. So if there's anything that comes up, definitely let us know.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you so much, Annie. We thought we would start off just with an overview of what the Public Safety Office is and the work that we do. So the Public Safety Office is located within Government Relations and External Affairs, which is a division of the Office of the CAO. And we're currently a team of 4, and that is Amy Siciliano, who's the Public Safety Advisor, Ian David, who is mine and Raven's manager. He is the Manager of Programs and Engagement. Raven, who's the Community Outreach Coordinator, and myself, the Safe City and Safe Public Spaces Coordinator. My cat is also joining us, which she tends to do for presentations. Can you go to the next slide, Annie? So what do we mean when we say public safety? So from our perspective in the Public Safety Office, our approach to public safety is guided by the public safety strategy, which focuses on 4 priority areas. And those areas are building resident resilience, ensuring safe spaces, strengthening communities, and preventing and responding to crime. So the current public safety strategy is from 2018 to 2022, and we're currently in the process of going through a public safety strategy renewal, which will set the strategy for the coming years. Really, when we talk about public safety, we're pushing the municipality and our partners to think upstream or systemically and holistically about the complex, multiple and interconnected roots of social issues such as crime. So we really focus on upstream thinking and looking at collaboration and transformative efforts to transform the underlying conditions rather than focusing on symptoms. So another note is just to say that most actions in the strategy are different from traditional criminal justice approaches to improving community safety in a few ways. And those are that we aim to be proactive and positively influence individuals, communities, and physical environments to better protect communities. That really the work is centered on the participation and experiences of communities, including individuals and local agencies and organizations. And of course, the third is that any success, it really depends on successful partnerships, relationships, and collaboration. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Annie. So some of the guiding principles and assumptions, I've spoken a little bit about this, but these are the guiding principles and assumptions of the public safety strategy that guides our work. So those are that the social determinants of health form the building blocks of healthy, livable, and safe cities and communities. Like I said, prioritizing preventative and upstream responses to complex issues. And the importance of supporting and enhancing the capacity of individuals, communities, and organizations to build resiliency. And can you go to the next slide, please, Annie? So in our day-to-day, what does this actually look like when we're translating this into our work? So for us, this means supporting staff across the organization to apply a lens of community safety to their work. So when you think about all the different things that HRM is responsible for, whether that be transit, parks and rec, really there's many different things that we're able to, if business units get in touch with us and are curious about applying a lens of community safety, that we're able to provide that support. We explore and advance initiatives alongside community partners that take that proactive and root cause approach. Some of our work includes co-developing a community safety and well-being index, exploring the potential of sobering centers, community consultations regarding municipal drug and alcohol strategy, mobilizing community assets for community safety, safe public spaces for women, non-binary and gender diverse people, and exploring alternatives for shifting or creating programs for civilian delivery of non-core police functions. And that's primarily through the Reimagining Public Safety Study, which will lead to this renewed public safety strategy. Here's the cat's tail. And can you go to the next slide, please, Annie?
And the next slide is me, so I'll jump right in there. So we'll start by talking about the Community Mobilization Team. We call it CMT. A little bit of history of the CMT. The Community Mobilization Team supports the response and recovery from the experience of a traumatic incident. They are made up of a partnership among local residents, community organizations, and the municipality. So just to kind of go a little bit in depth about that, but I won't go too deep into it, it really is a partnership with the community. So that team works best by building relationships with the community and organizations within the community, and also through the Public Safety Office and other parts of the municipality as well. So if we were to respond to a traumatic incident, we work with everybody to make sure that we're giving a safe approach to the situation to make sure that everybody's needs are taken into consideration. The CMT group started, well, it kind of derived in 2016, and it was part of the Mayor's Roundtable on Violence and Community Conversations across the municipality. The very first CMT group was established in 2017, and it started in Mulgrave Park. And at present, we now have 3 CMT groups throughout HRM. There's one in the Preston Township, there's one in Central North, and as mentioned, there's one in Mulgrave Park as well. Annie, could we have the next slide, please? So what do community mobilization teams do? So CMTs support the recovery period after a critical incident. They play a key role in linking communities to services, helping to define, improve on, and monitor quality of services in their community. And they promote the readiness through education, training, and prevention. So training is like a core component of CMT. So we make sure that we help to build resilience within the communities by providing them with the tools that they would need to not only, work with that incident, but to be able to move forward and to be able to lead productive lives with, to give them the tools that they can use to be more, resilient. Sorry. Community volunteers working together to support families and communities by bridging the gap with service providers during times of critical incidents. Through healing and spirituality, we facilitate meaningful connections to ensure community safety. So again, like during those meetings that we have with the CMT groups, we see exactly what it is that the community needs. We recognize that each community is different and that they're not all the same with the diversity. So we make sure that we're providing what that community needs and not what is like a generalized, approach would be. Annie, could we have the next slide, please? So crisis preparation. By developing local safety networks, which can provide cohesive and collaborative responses to critical incidents. This is done through mapping resources, education and training, conducting needs assessments, and protocol development sessions. So what we mean by that is we will get like a pool of resources in each area. So like, for instance, in Mulgrave Park, we'll see what resources are available that's close and local to them. And then like, we'll do that in each community so that we're connecting them with resources that are close, keeping those type of things in mind. We also do like needs assessments. So we do a lot of educating and we provide the training and different types of sessions with them. Some of those training and sessions could be like, for instance, mental health first aid training. We'll provide the groups with that. That will allow them to be able to help their community, through traumatic experiences by knowing what type of not what type, but how to approach situations differently. So we just try to equip them with the best tools that we can provide them with. Annie, may I have the next slide, please? Crisis intervention response. So supporting communities after a violent or traumatic incident, determining the level of community support needed for recovery, and identifying appropriate interventions such as opening of a comfort center, community debriefing, and healing circles. So for instance, if there is a traumatic experience that happens, the CMTs will, what we call, like, activate, and we will get together with them and we will do things like open a comfort center, and that just basically means it's just a place where they can gather and we can provide them with, you know, things like community debriefing, healing circles, so that they're able to all be together, provide them with some counseling, like through different social work networks, and so on and so forth. May I have the next slide, please, Annie? So CMT does a lot of crisis prevention. So we support education, development of strategies and methods, and making systemic recommendations that may prevent future violent incidents. Community members identify and implement local capacity building initiatives, healing activities, and safety audits. So that's where we would like work with, like Amy, like to do some safety reports in the area. We will find out, you know, how can we make the community safer for residents? So we'll work with different areas of the municipality as well to bring some of those things in and to make positive changes. May I have the next slide, Annie, please? So story mapping is one of the things that the CMT group in Mulgrave Park did. It was one of their big initiatives. It was a great initiative. It was very successful. They went around within their community. They spoke to residents of all ages, from like little young ones from like 4 to like the elders. And they just got them to talk about their community through their eyes. So, you know, sometimes we hear things that happen in the news, and sometimes, or, you know, just conversation on the streets of what you hear about a community. But if you talk to people in that community, you get a better sense of who they are. So this was a great way for Mulgrave Park to share their stories. This is on the website. It is on the HRM website, and it's something that we could pass along if you're ever interested in listening at listening to some of their stories. So their stories are what Mulgrave Park means to them through their eyes. It's telling it through their lens. So it was a really great piece that was done through the Mulgrave Park CMT, and it was very successful. Next slide, please, Annie. Building community connection. So that's really big. As I've been mentioning, it's really important for us to not go into a community and tell them. It's working with them to provide them with what they need and with the resources that they want, and to try and help make them more resilient. So one of the big things that the CMT group does do is help to build those connections, to bring community together, to make them stronger for moving forward. And the next slide, Annie, please. Another successful initiative that came out of our CMT group was the community garden. So the community garden has like the African Nova Scotia community. It has members like from the newcomers, from the Syrian community, and it also, like, it's very diverse. So this was a good way to bring community together so they can learn of each other's cultures. They can learn from each other through gardening, which is a favorite pastime of a lot of people. A lot of people find gardening very relaxing. They like to get in there. They have the friendly conversations in there. and they just come in and enjoy it and just get to know each other and learn about each other, just so that they can kind of build those relationships together. So it was a great way to build on those relationships. Our garden is in its second season and it's about to open in a few weeks. So that's something that we're really looking forward to season 2 with our community garden. Not sure if I went too fast with any of the slides there, but it's Amy's turn again. So I'm going to turn it over to her and then we'll get any questions once she's done.
Thanks so much, Raven. Yeah, so the Safe City and Safe Public Spaces program is the program that I support. And this is a program HRM joined this larger global initiative that is through UN Women, Safe Cities and Safe Public Spaces Global Initiative in 2019. So this initiative supports cities in developing locally owned solutions to end sexual harassment and other forms of sexual violence in public spaces. So the initiative calls on partner cities to act in the following areas: to ensure locally relevant and locally owned solutions, strengthening laws and policies, investing in the safety of public spaces, and fostering transformative social norms that promote public spaces free from sexual harassment and other forms of sexual violence. Can you go to the next slide, please, Annie? So just a quick timeline to show you folks sort of where we've come from and where we're going. So in 2019, staff at the Public Safety Office were laying, and other staff as well across the organization who are great supporters of this work, we're laying the foundation for the program, developing the committee that oversees and guides the program, and building relationships across business units within the organization to be able to implement the work later on down the line. In 2020, started to build community connections with the program, and that was notably through the development and training on a women's safety assessment tool, which is a participatory community-based tool to talk about and assess the safety of communities and come up with co-owned solutions to make public spaces safer. In 2021, there was a full-time permanent staff position created, and the scoping study, which is one of the first outputs of the program, was completed. And this is really just like a first snapshot of helping us understand some of the key elements that we need to consider in developing a program plan. Now in 2022, we're in the process of creating a theory of change and a program plan. So really figuring out, what is the unique contribution that this program can make, and who are the people that need to be involved, and how do we get to where we want to go with this program. And that's all based on conversations that we've had so far and that we'll continue to have with community and other partners along the way. And can you go to the next slide, please, Annie? So through conversations that we've had so far, through that scoping study that I mentioned, but also in conversations with other work that we're doing in the Public Safety Office and throughout the organization, some of these are the program priorities that came forward. So one of the things that's come forward is that it's really important that this program plays a role in working across the different pieces of the municipality, like I mentioned before, transit, parks and rec, planning for the future, so strategic planning within the organization, to make sure that women's, girls, non-binary and gender diverse folks' experiences of safety is considered and added into project plans, strategies, and services. It's important that we collaborate with grassroots and community organizations, networks, and groups to ensure that the program is guided by people's lived experiences and diverse women, girls, and non-binary people's voices and lived experiences. It came forward that public transit is really an important site where we need to be thinking more about a gendered lens on safety, because public transit is so critical for people to be able to access the services and resources that they need across the municipality. And can you go to the next slide, please, Annie? Having a gendered lens on efforts around affordable housing and housing efforts that the municipality takes. Supporting work that's ongoing and led by community around preventing and responding to human trafficking. supporting partners and initiatives that focus on education, that address misogynistic social norms, safe bystander intervention, and healthy understandings of gender, sexuality, and healthy relationships. And then this last piece that, one of the values of the municipality around doing work that is evidence informed. One of the things that we've encountered in our work is that a lot of the data that we have information to doesn't necessarily tell us the stories of all women, girls, and non-binary folks in the municipality. So really being able to support work to for us to understand the stories of all folks so that we're able to support their safety in public spaces. And can you go to the next slide, please, Annie? Yeah, so when we were chatting with Becca and Annie to organize this presentation for you folks tonight, we were mentioning, this is kind of an overview of the work that we do, and it's our first time chatting with you folks. So it may be a lot of information all at once, but we're always happy to connect back in with you if you have any specific questions, even after this presentation. And in terms of if you folks are interested in getting involved, there are both Raven and I and the rest of our team are always interested to hear from folks, and the youth lens on public safety is so important. So any opportunity in the future for us to support the work that you folks are doing around public safety, or any opportunities that we can kind of send your folks' way, we'd be happy to do that. Raven, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you've hit everything. Is there anything anybody had to ask us about any of the things that we just chatted about? I know it was a lot of information to kind of absorb all at once. So even if, as Amy mentioned, if you wanted to shoot us off emails or connect with us through Annie, our emails were on that very last slide. I think Annie took it down there, but is there anything that anybody wanted to ask?
I have a question. I'm actually very interested in this, so I will probably email you guys to reach out, just myself personally. Yeah, I do have multiple questions, but I'll only ask one or two now. I'm just wondering about the organizations you partner with. You mentioned it a couple of times, and I'm just wondering if you can just name a few. I'm just curious of who else you're working with at the time. So thanks.
Did you want to go first, Raven? Or?
I was going to say, did you want to take that on, Amy?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, no problem. And I will say, so Raven just joined us, what is it, Raven, 3 weeks ago? So, but she's been part of the CMT for since the very beginning. So Raven has a ton of knowledge about this. But yeah, I thank you for the question, Alan. So it really depends on what we're working on. So just for a concrete example, I'm working closely with folks in the Diversity and Inclusion Office right now on a women and gender equity strategy. So that's really meant to be a process and a strategy in the end that centers gender across the municipality and the services that we offer and the work that we do. So through that process, we have been having community conversations. Some of the folks we've chatted with so far, the Youth Project did a session in collaboration with us, the Nova Scotia Native Women's Association, ISANS, YMCA. So that would be examples in that particular project. Raven, you could speak to this, but depending on which CMT community we're talking about, say in the Central North CMT community, there would be folks who would be coming from to the meetings from the Parent Resource Center, from the North End Community Health Center. There's community police officers who are involved in some of the CMT work. Yeah, there's quite a long list, Raven, the rec centers.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I was going to say the rec centers, the community-wide. We just recently did a lot of work with the community-wide that was centered around the youth in that area, just trying to address some concerns that they had there. So like Amy said, there's the list is very long, but it does depend on the situation and the incident, or if there's an incident or who reaches out. So we just try to help whoever reaches out and kind of needs that help. And if we can't help them ourselves, then we have a really good idea as to who to kind of connect them with to kind of provide that assistance. That was a great question, Helen. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And actually, I have another one. Just wondering how, like, what the process is for getting called into a community. So if something happens, how does it get to you? Like, is it someone in the community has to come to a certain level, or do the police come to you and say there's been an incident and you should go to this community? Or yeah, I'm just wondering how that works. How is it decided that you go to certain communities?
Sure. So for instance, like when the CMT groups derived, it came from a mayor's roundtable. So that all started at, with the 16 councilors and the mayor, and, there were some recommendations that were made, and then there were some suggestions that were put out, and then the public safety office kind of addressed that. And one of the things that came out of it was the CMT groups. So it did kind of focus on certain areas at that time, but there's many ways that we can be called onto, and I don't want to say an assignment because that doesn't sound right. So I'm not sure what the exact word is I'm looking for here, but like there's many ways how we can get involved, I guess is a better word, with a situation. It just kind of depends on, what's going on at that moment, at that time, type thing. So if there's concerns that, that kind of came out, then, oh, sorry, I was reading the question down below. I thought it was a question for me, sorry. Thanks, Zoya. Thanks so much for joining. We look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it all depends on the situation and what the concern is, and who kind of reaches out, like what the need is in that particular area. I can say that other areas have been reaching out through the counselors, but they're usually filtered above our pay grade, and then it gets filtered down that way.
Great. Thanks so much, Raven.
Oh, no worries. I'm just glad for being so new that I'm able to answer some of these questions. Any other questions from anybody? Again, Amy and I and the entire public safety office definitely are available to you. So if you have any questions, we're definitely we're your connection now. So you have a connection. Definitely reach out.
Great. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure that I'm pretty sure we already have your presentation. So your contact information is at the end there. So hopefully everyone should have that. But if not, we can reach out to Annie and get that connection. So wonderful. So thank you very much, both of you, for coming in for the presentation. Really appreciate it. Do you have any final remarks or anything, or is that it for you guys?
Yeah, just to echo what Raven said there, thank you so much for having us, folks. And yeah, we look forward to hearing about all the work that you folks are doing as well. And we'll be watching for opportunities to collaborate. So yeah, all the best with the rest of your meeting.
Great, thank you. And thanks for also being interested to collaborate. Some other people have come in before and have just wanted our opinion and have left and not looking to collaborate in the future or work together. So I really appreciate that. So thank you.
No worries.
No problem.
Awesome.
Okay, good night, everyone.
All right, good night. Thanks. See ya.
Thank you. Okay, so now that we don't have quorum, I just wanted to, Annie, yeah, go ahead, Annie.
Thank you, Chair. So basically, the last two things that we have on the agenda for today can no longer be voted on because we have last quorum. It doesn't mean that the meeting needs to stop. It just means that we can't officially approve anything that's on the agenda. So my suggestion would be that we will just kind of defer the approval of the meeting schedule for the rest of the year. And we could either completely defer the conversation around the work plan for this year, or I could at the very least kind of give like an overview of how the initial brainstorming session transpired to the current draft work plan, and then we can revisit it again at the next meeting. But I will leave that to the chair and to the committee to decide on what they would like to do with the work plan.
What are your guys' thoughts on the work plan? Does it matter if we review it today, or you want to just, we're going to have to review it next meeting again for everyone else. So would you rather just wait and review it then? Or does anyone have any other thoughts to add that we didn't get to add in last week or anything? Okay, I guess we'll just defer that to next meeting, and we can check in on it then and then approve it. So yeah, especially when there's other more members as well. So
wonderful. Thank you, Chair. So this will be deferred to the next meeting, and we can kind of go through both of these in their entirety next month.
Great. Okay, so in that case, the next meeting will be on, or the next meeting planned, I guess not approved, but we'll approve the schedule next time. So we have June 16th is the date for the next meeting. And so I was just wondering if we want to do a quick checkout. I know we didn't have much on our plate tonight. There's not many of us, but would anyone like to give a quick little spiel of their thoughts on today?
I'll say something. The presentation was nice. I was really interested in the community garden section, just because I love gardening, and I think it's a great way for people to connect, especially older folk, because I find they're like the most interested in that. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like the presentation too. And so maybe that's something we want to even add to our work plan, of maybe doing something with them if the rest of the committee is interested in that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Abraham, you'd like to add?
I really like the presentation, and like looking at the different ideas in the different departments is really good.
Yeah, great. Okay, so maybe we will add that to our agenda for our next meeting to bring up and discuss with the other members who couldn't see the presentation. Maybe just tell them a bit about it, and maybe what stood out to us that we could collaborate on. So maybe something with a community garden or something like that as well. So yeah, great. Any other thoughts about tonight before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, great. Okay, so in that case, I will ask that we adjourn the meeting. So this requires a mover.
I'll move.
Great. So Carter's going to move that for us to adjourn the meeting. And so the meeting is adjourned right on the dot at 6 o'clock. Great.